Hey everybody, it's me, Christian, and as most of you know, I'm Arcade Productions, and you're about to watch our brand new show, Arcade and Friends. This is a sit-down interview podcast type show where I just talk with people who I've worked with in the film, television, and music industry, as well as friends, family, colleagues, where we just talk for an hour about past projects, future projects, things in the works. It's really just an hour of us just shooting the shit. Anyway, we hope you enjoy the first episode of Arcade and Friends. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next installment of Arcade and Friends. My name is Christian Cortez, and I'm here with my buddy Nick to help him promote his brand new Kickstarter because he's putting out a what's it called, an omnibus of all the comics you have worked on, and I got a little peek. By little peek, I got exclusive access, and let me tell you, it's freaking dope. We recorded an entirely audio-only portion of this episode that I will include at some point because it's fucking hilarious because we just kind of dived right into our conversation, and I forgot to hit record on StreamYard.
What's that Bill O'Reilly quote? We'll do it live!
We'll do it live! So, Nick, if you could give a brief introduction to yourself and tell the people who you are, man.
Hello, Arcade Productions fan base. That was just very ominous. So, I'm Nick Burchard. I am a filmmaker, comic book artist, writer, short guy. I'm doing a Kickstarter for my new comic book. It's an omnibus of 2 years worth of my comic strip, Vulture Culture, and it's about these goth vultures that live and work at their town's dead mall. It's kind of a family story about aging rock fans and younger goth, young adult goth people, and it's really weird, it's really funny, and I just love it.
But that's why I love it so much, is because yes, it is weird, but it's so slice of life and it works so absurdly well. Now, before we delve it back into the book, I'll give people kind of a brief sum up of how we met. We were at the second annual Smog Castle Film Festival, where both of our films, just mine, Just Desserts, his, The Ghostlight, which you can check out on YouTube right now because it's available to go watch. Please go check it out. Literally, The Ghostlight, the song, was in my top played songs of last year.
Spotify Wrapped.
It was in my Spotify Wrapped, but it was by a wide margin, dude. I listened to that song a lot. I love it, but
Ollie and Regina, they're so talented.
Oh, they're incredible. Yeah. So, but we get pulled up on stage because then Kevin, of course, in his Kevin Smithiness is like, we're going to do a Q&A with all the filmmakers. Oh, okay.
I was like, we are?
Sold out crowd. Me, Nick, and a bunch of other filmmakers get pulled up on stage, and deer in headlights, man. Deer in headlights, at least for me, because I, for one, have never been in front of a crowd that big. And I also was mortified of my experience showing Just Desserts because it was the first time. Just Desserts, for me, is my biggest film yet. And I think my comedy is funny. My friends think it's funny. And for me to put it out there, it's kind of the first time I've done that. So I'm going to the premiere and I'm like this. So
I didn't know that was your premiere. That's a good premiere, man.
That was our opening. That was our opening. Freaking.
Yeah. I have some clips from Smog Castle Film Festival if you wanted to throw these up in here. I could totally include some of those as well. Let me just say, I don't know if I have any clips from your particular screening, but I have us up on stage with Kevin. And let me just say, one of the things, I didn't know that was your premiere. And I didn't know you yet. And so you were like, only my friends think I'm funny. Now I'm your friend and I know you're funny. But before I even knew you, that whole theater was dying laughing at your film. It was so funny. One of the girls that's in my film, one of the actors who's in my film, Haley Carlick, she's a wonderful actress, and she's actually ties into some of the inspiration for Vulture Culture, actually. But she was just laughing the loudest. She's from New Jersey, and she was just like, it's so funny. It's so good, man. I love your film.
But meanwhile, I'm in my seat, literally covering my ears, closing my eyes, because I was mortified. Like I was, because I was also worried because Just Desserts is a film that's its jokes are very reliant on each other. So when we were going down to editing and I was trying to, of course, make edits, I was realizing, oh crap, I can't cut this without then cutting this. And then that doesn't make any sense. Yep. So it was the weirdest, like, I'd never been put into a wall, like put into a corner like that before. So I was scared, like very, very scared. And then that happens, and it's one of the best nights of my life, made better by the fact that I also got to watch an incredible block of films before it. Like all the films that played in our block were dope, but Ghostlight is probably my favorite because I told you I love musicals. I love spooky, and everything about it was just so fun. And this was something that I didn't get to tell you when we were recording the first iteration of this, but here's the truth. Here's how I knew I was going to be a fan of your work in particular for the rest. Like anytime you make a film, I'm there because there was a detail in the Ghostlight that not many filmmakers would even call that attention to, but you in your film, it's a minor thing. But to me, it's everything because I love that kind of humor.
I'm scared.
It is when they're in the midst of the musical number and your main character is finally getting her feel and dancing for the first time because her that's kind of part of her arc. And when the music really kicks in, when the organ like comes in with the song, you cut away very momentarily to the keyboardist going up to the organ in the theater and with all of his might going and then cutting back to our characters doing that thing. I love that detail because it's so cartoony. It's so wonderful. And that's the kind of details that I put in my thing that I hope people like, because it's a detail that like it doesn't call attention to itself, but at the same time, it's just so theatrical and wonderful that I only see in specific kinds of movies. And the fact that you had it, I was like, no fucking way.
It's really funny you say that because the guy who played Schwartzy, who one of the funny things about, and also thank you very much for that. I don't know.
I hope you know what I mean, right?
But no, of course. That and like I jumped into the story of like why we made that detail because I want to give somebody else credit for the detail. But like that really means a lot to me that you saw that, and so thank you very much, Christian. But the real reason that's in the movie is because I'm always very interested in giving people credit. Like always, everybody who works in my film, like every time I do a post about the film on Instagram, I'm tagging the whole cast and crew. I'm tagging plus it's just good because you get multiple shares. But like, it's just really, really good to make sure that everybody who worked on the film feels seen. And because I want them to, because, I often find, especially in independent film, that nobody's going to care about your film as much as you do. And that's especially after, so when people do care about your film, you've got to thank them, and that's what a finished film is people caring about your film. So many projects die because, you couldn't find the right people to do it or something. So anyways, Schwartzy was played by my oldest friend, Jacob Keplinger, who's in a fantastic psychedelic rock band, Free Rock. Jake wrote the ending song of Ghostlight with me. He wrote the music, I wrote the lyrics, because Jake is a fantastic songwriter and I am not. And
give yourself credit.
Jake, yeah, you're right. I'm the best. I'm Mozart. Jake will love that.
There you go.
And so he was playing keys in the thing because I'm like, why don't you be the ghost accompanist. Like, that'd be really funny. You're the guy who wrote the song. You know the chords. Get in there. Well, he's already very pale, so he looks like a ghost anyways. It was funny. Christina, the makeup artist, brings him out and shows me his makeup, and I go, what did you do? She goes, not much. He already looks like a ghost. I put powder in his hair.
He's already dead.
And so as he's playing, we had this giant, we got really lucky. We had this giant pipe organ just on the side of the stage, bolted in, and Jake improvised that whole thing. Like, Keewan J. Harrison, he started slowly pulling back with the camera on the dolly, and Jake was like, well, I'm not playing organ on this part. So he's like, I guess I'll sit there. And then he goes, no. And then he gets up and goes to the organ, flicks it on, the yellow light just hits him like crazy from the organ, and he just slams down on the chords. Dude, it was so funny. If I could find the original clip, we all die behind the scenes. Like, we're all just dying at that choice.
Oh my God.
That's a choice like not even a great actor would think of. Like, that's a musician just making a choice. Like, because good on him, man. He's so creative.
I do music too. So I edit very rhythmically, even if I don't purposely try to. It just happens like that. And it's such a cool moment that emphasizes the rhythm of the music. And it also, like, it really kind of, it helps flourish this imaginary world, because like, you could argue about ghosts and their existence and all that type of stuff, but they fall into the realm of fiction. And when you get a moment like that is so theatrical, that would never happen in real life. And it's just such a cool little detail that I remember being so tickled by it when I saw it the first time. I was like, yes. Because you're right. The light illuminates him and he's just in on it. Like that. When I say I love Ghostlight, like, I do love it, to the point that I will probably steal your cast one day for something. Like,
go ahead, man.
Like, I've already told Haley I'm putting her in something. Like, she's already got scripts. Regina, like, oh my God, she's incredible. And then this must be like the best case scenario for this to happen for a filmmaker, is that your lead actor ends up getting cast in one of the biggest Broadway plays to come out in the last couple of years. You want to talk about that?
So, I try to, respect him professionally too, but me and Ali Louis-Borsky, we grew up together.
Did you really?
Yeah. He's a Berkshire's based musical theater kid like I was. And we spent tons of summers, doing like stuff with Berkshire Theater Group, and he did lots with Barrington Stage. I stuck more with the Berkshire Theater Group side of things. And, we kind of lost contact in high school for a little bit, but, we would always come out and support each other. And like, we were always just buddies, and, he went to Ithaca, and, I just always, even as a kid, I was like, there's something about him. Like, he's just an incredibly, skilled artist, and he's just a really humble guy, super sweet. He's got a great look. And so when it came time to do Ghostlight, I was writing it, and, Esper is very Esper, the part that Ali plays. See, now everybody's going to have to go watch the movie.
No, I've already encouraged it. There's been links links popping up everywhere. Go watch this film. It is free to watch on YouTube. What's the final runtime? About 15, 16 minutes?
It's 24 minutes.
Are you serious?
It's a long short film. It's the musical number. It would have been 20. It's the musical number at the end. That's what added the other 5 minutes. And that's why we didn't get into Sundance. No.
Let me tell you something, though. That's incredible, because, listen, a big thing with me is pacing. Pacing to me is like at the end of the day, especially because I'm an editor, bread and butter. Like, your film film pacing is so important, but so many people kind of tend to forget about it, or not forget about it, or like place it last in the thinking. I'm thinking about the pacing in the writing stage. Like, I'm always thinking about that. And for me to think Ghostlight is 15 minutes when it's a 20-minute film, wow. Like
actually an hour. I was lying. But real quick, I want to continue story about Ali, because it's really, I'm trying to give credit where credit's due. After he graduated from Ithaca, we stayed in touch, and then I was working on my first short film, and he was doing Broadway tours and things like that, and then I started writing Esper, and Ghostlight is very much based upon like me as I was in high school. I tried to be a good person in high school, but what teenage boys are going to teenage boys, Yeah,
let me guess. You have those moments where you think about something you said and you just die inside.
Who doesn't? And I'm probably going to have 10 of those on this podcast where I'm like, oh, I can't believe I said that. But anyways, Ali very graciously auditioned for Esper because I wanted to make sure that like we could work well together, first of all, because friendships are important to me. And, I ask a lot of actors, and some of them don't love that, but I work very hard on the film, and I craft characters very specifically, and I wanted to make sure that like it was the right fit, because I didn't want to waste his time if he was off doing other things. He's got an agent and all of that stuff, and for independent film, you got to make sure that you're getting what you need quickly. And so Ali sent in his tape, and I was obsessed. I was like, this is the guy. Like, truly, he's the guy. And got all of the, little neuroses, the self-doubt, kind of the pettiness of a high school actor, but at the same time still has a really good heart. And so we got him to do the film. And then shortly as he was doing the film, I finished the film, and then he got Tommy, and it was like, wow, that's helpful. That's helpful for both of us, because he got to do Tommy, and then I got to go see Tommy and, get to be like, yeah, well, I knew him when.
But that's got to feel great as your instincts as a writer and a director, because you're just like, I knew it first. Like, you're just like, I knew he was that dope, and you could see it in the film, because you're right. I like that character, especially because I know that I want to be careful with what I say, because I just love it, but I also love the mystery of like, I'm wondering what else is his backstory. And that's also the thing that I love about Ghostlight, is that it seems to set up other things. But as I said, you guys can watch it on YouTube for free at Nick's YouTube channel, Tiny Vikings Productions, unless it is shortened to Tiny Viking, or is it Tiny Viking Productions?
It's Tiny Viking Productions, and just type in the Ghostlight short film, and you'll find something. You'll find a short film, and I hope it's ours.
I'll put, as I said, I'm just going to spam the links. The entire description of this podcast is just watch it here, repeated 110 times. Sorry, audience.
No, man, this really means a lot to me. I like haven't gotten to really decompress and talk about, Ghostlight.
Really?
No, I haven't really. So
I'm very.
This really means a lot to me that you're asking all these questions about the film.
Well, if I enjoy something, I want to know the process, because because especially this is one of my many faults when I'm making a movie, is that I get so wrapped up in the actual making of it that I forget to document myself. Like my films, I barely have any personal behind the scenes of Just Desserts. I barely have any personal behind the scenes of like things that I do, unless I make it my mission to like take some little behind the scenes photos. And I'm trying to get better at it, but it's because thank God for behind the scenes photographers and stuff like that. Oh yeah. So that I have that, which I cherish. Yes, but it's so important to know the process, because I also think that it shouldn't be gatekept. Like, I think that people who want to know these things should be able to learn them freely, and what goes into making a musical short. I had no idea. And then I watch your short and I'm like, well, that's how you can do it. And like, it doesn't dawn on you until you like really sit down and think like, oh, this is the steps one would take. Because musicals, at least for me, for so long, seemed like almost like Westerns, where it was just this out there genre that you can't fucking do unless you've got all these things in place. When no, you can do smaller scale things of an intimate nature in any genre to make it work. And also goes into production design and all that. It's a bigger discussion for sure, but that's why I'm like, let me ask him about the little fucking keyboard moment. Let me ask him about the pacing and the festival journey and all that stuff, because I think it's important.
And I mean, you may like this too. When I first wrote the script of Ghostlight, I was like, I don't want this to be a corny musical. So I didn't write it as a musical. And then you've got to just let the thing be what it's going to be. It kept telling me, I'm like, there wasn't an ending. And I was like,
there's something.
All right, it needs something. So I was like, let's get together and let's write a song that I don't like think is too corny and that I actually think is quite uplifting and kind of tells the story. And like, it really taught me a lot about musicals just in general, because you like to think, oh, musicals, all they do is break out into song and that's it. But really the point of a musical is to get to a higher plane of emotion and storytelling that you can't get with dialogue. It's like, and also
understanding, because it's not just like people joke like, oh, the Disney I Want song, but that's exactly what it is. It's like it's the character explaining what they want, desire, or need, pushing the story forward, but in a medium that like regular dialogue can't fucking do. Mm-hmm. Like, it's wonderful. Like, yeah, like people call it an annoying thing, but like, it is what it is. So
I don't think it's all that annoying, but other people do. What I don't love is filler songs that just kind of don't do that, where they're just like, oh, I'm singing and I'm, it's usually the actor's just standing on stage and he's like, so a lot of the times it's the ballads. I love a good ballad, but like I Dreamed a Dream from like Les Mis, that's an incredible storytelling ballad. I can't really think of a bad example. So maybe I'm just
but that's but no, I get it, because as someone who loves writing ballads, is literally in the process of writing something for a friend. I'm like, maybe I should make sure I move the story along as I'm writing this thing.
Hey man, a good song is a good song. Like
this is true, and this is a question that really I wanted to ask before, but I'm glad I'm remembering it. And it might sound odd, but no, it's coming from a cool place. So you won an award or you submitted for the screenplay for the Ghostlight first for a film festival. Did you say Film Quest, or was it another one? For Film Quest.
Yeah.
And when you did that and then you submitted, but you also, the film got in, which would you say you were kind of prouder of? Like, of course you would think the completed thing, but as a writer, like, oh, there's a different gratification. One, for the completed film, because, oh my God, I put all this time and effort into this thing. But with the writing, because it's such a solitary thing that you're like, that's cool as hell. Like, I don't know how to describe it, because writing is just such a,
no,
it's special.
You're right. And that's the hardest part of directing a film, is getting the thing together. So once the film is done, I am sobbing. Like when we wrapped on set for Ghostlight, we wrapped on set for my first film, Uncredited, which is also on YouTube. Those projects like wrecked me emotionally, just because. Like, I don't know about you, but when I'm directing a film, I don't eat. Like, I go to craft service.
Right?
I take like a pizza. I've talked to other directors and they go, yeah, I don't either. And it's like, you don't even think. You're not like, oh, I'm not eating because I need to stay focused. You're just like, what's food?
Because you're so in
this next shot.
Oh my God. But so just we shot all nights. So I get that, dude. Like I didn't really sleep. Like, I was just so in it that I was like, oh, we're here. We're doing the thing.
Speaking of Kevin Smith, I saw a post of his a while ago when he was talking about some anniversary for Clerks. And he posted this picture, and there are very few pictures of directors that like I would hang up on a wall and like get a really nice print framed of it, like in an office someday, but there's a picture of Kevin Smith asleep on the floor in the convenience store. And I'm like, that's a director. Like, that's a really good one, because that picture just says everything. It's like, this guy has put everything into this thing. Like, he probably didn't eat on Clerks. I'd be curious to see, if he did or not. But no, I love that picture. And another picture that I think is kind of on the other spectrum of great director shots is Stanley Kubrick on the set of The Shining, laughing while the set burns behind him. That's an incredible picture. I want to be like a Mr. Burns level director someday in my giant, big long table. I'm at the head of it having a production meeting, and Stanley Kubrick is just laughing behind me. Like, I have this secret dream of just being like so evil, like that I have Kubrick behind me. It's an incredible picture.
I can't imagine one day, like, when you are of that status and fucking some poor schmuck has to come into your office to pitch you something, and you're at the end of this long ass table with that burning photo behind you, and you're like, so what is the pitch today, gentlemen?
Excellent.
Let's go make it. Like, oh my God.
And then I got a trapdoor button that just sends him into a flaming pit.
I don't like it. Goodbye.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
that's why they don't give guys like me movies, because I will do that.
But it's more for the theatrics, and then we'll give them a gift basket at the end of the slide. Be like, here,
we'll send them on the studio tour.
We're cool. We're not going to be crazy too much. I mean, hey, listen, when they give folks like us $25 million to play, we're going to go a little bit nutty.
Bro, I'd love like 10 grand.
Listen, I'm only saying that number because I'm just putting it out in the universe. Either it's going to latch on to me or to you, but somebody somewhere is getting 25 mil in our camp. We're going to make something with it one day.
If anybody's curious, the feature film for Ghostlight is ready to be made. If anybody wants it.
There you go, guys.
Hey,
for
Kevin,
all the billionaires who...
Give me that picture, Kevin.
Let's get that picture deal.
But I was trying to make another point, but I forgot what it was. You were talking about the screenplay.
Yes.
And
So which one? Completed
which one
film.
More?
Yeah, like which one were you? Like, of course, the obvious answer seems to be the completed film. But like, if you really had to think about it, like,
well, I guess. Talking in terms of Film Quest, I mean, I really urge you with your next genre film, whatever it may be, if it's even a genre film, to submit to that film festival. And, you have to actually like put in like a referral, like, somebody that so please do that with me. And I will absolutely put in a good word. But that festival just meant a lot to me because I don't even know if they do that referral thing anymore, so just get back to me. But I'm like, I don't want to say that publicly, and that may be wrong. But yeah, writing the script and getting into Film Quest after I didn't get in with my first short film, which I was really proud of, I spent a lot of time really, really working on the Ghostlight script, because I remember I finished my first short film, and I was talking to one of the contractors who was working on our family's house, and I was helping him hammer in something. He's like, so you going to make another movie? And I was like, I really want to, but I don't know how. It's like, I love that quote that you don't learn how to make movies. You just learn how to make that movie. Like, and then you got to relearn it the next time. And so yeah, I was like, I kind of want to make something like family friendly, because I tend to make really intense stuff. And I really want to make something like my mom will enjoy, and like her friends could like watch and enjoy and be like, oh, what a sweet boy. Like, look at that film he made. Like, there are no throat slit in it like my first film. And there's a lot of dead people in this one, but they're like play dead, they're gross.
It's different. It's different.
So the idea when I got that first acceptance with the script into Film Quest, because that was a whole year before I even made the film. I finished the short film, and then I got in and we were nominated for a Screenplay award. And I mean, that just meant the world to me, because I just really, really tried, and it taught me a lot about networking. I got to know, some people who were at the festival and stuff while I was there, made sure that I kept everybody, involved who needed to be involved when it came to putting the film out, and, just try to be a good person and be a good ambassador for my film, because that's really all you are at the end of the day, is an ambassador for your project. So, but to answer your question, the screenplay meant an awful lot to me, because it was very justifying. It was like, I knew it. I knew this one was good. I knew the other one was good. It just wasn't right.
Yeah. It's especially because you knew going into it, you were going to try something that you hadn't done before. And at that point, were you working on the Vulture comics?
That's a good question. I don't know what I was doing 2 years ago. I mean, Ghostlight 2 years ago.
Well, no, I only ask because you said that this was kind of your first kind of foray into more family affair, which is really funny because that's kind of where I've gotten my start for years. But then out the gate, my first film is Just Desserts, which is people getting their brains blown out.
Dude, it's so good. It's funny.
Yes, in context, it's funny, but at the same time, those are the kind of movies that I actually really want to make. I would love to be the guy that they call upon to make The Night at the Museums or anything like that. I would love to be that guy. So for you, knowing that you had written a different kind of material beforehand, but then with Ghostlight, it's definitely lighter fare. Do you think that, because I really want to start to get into the book, do you think that because now I really want to know, was it kind of a simultaneous thing where you were learning to write for the Vulture characters? Do you think that kind of helped push the direction of where you were going with Ghostlight?
So writing something fun is really, really fun. And making something that kind of is accessible to a wider audience it's not the most punk rock thing in the world to do, but nor is it really all that safe, because then some people just see you as the guy who makes family friendly stuff, and you're like, wait, I've got all these horror movies, Oh
no, that's the gimmick, is that you come out the gate with a horror film, then you're like, I want to make this really fun family flick, and then you go back to horror. Be like, put you back in your place, because it's fun. I want to make plenty of Just Desserts, but I do love the idea of making The Night at the Museums, but that doesn't mean that I want to live there forever. I
love that you went Night at the Museum.
Well, that's
a great movie.
I was just watching Deadpool and Wolverine, and I forgot that the same guy who did that did the first 3 Night at the Museums. So I was like, no way. Even he was like, I got to prove to other people with Stranger Things and all these other projects that family fare wasn't just everything that was in my tool bag. And I was
There's nothing wrong with doing family movies. I think family movies are great.
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that in the punk rock regard, I get it.
Yeah, but man, you're a sellout, man. You're making Disney movies. It's like, yeah, I'm making Disney movies. Have you seen a Disney movie? They're hardcore. Some of the older Disney flicks are hardcore.
Have you seen The Black Cauldron? Relax.
Worked on that movie, I think.
Did you say Don Bluth?
Tim Burton.
Oh, Tim Burton.
I also love Don Bluth. I also love Ralph Bakshi too.
I picked that up in the book, and that's where I'm going to start to geek out with you a little bit about this book, man, because
let's talk about the book.
Please talk about the book, because to give people a little bit of a background, you're in the midst of crowdfunding a book called Squawk. Squawk. Am I saying it correctly? I just want to make sure that I'm enunciating your onomatopoeia. Squawk. But it is a collection of stories set in this little world that you had described at the beginning of the show, where it is the gang of characters who hang out and work in this dying mall, which as I told you, as a former mall rat, I love me some mall stories. So I would love to know, where did the genesis of this idea come from? But what's wonderful is that you talk about it in the book, but tell the people.
Sure. So, and this actually answers your question prior about if I was working on Vultures while I was doing Ghostlight. The answer is actually no. I was thinking I've always wanted to do a comic strip. Always wanted to, because, Garfield, even Matt Groening, who made The Simpsons, Life in Hell. Life in Hell is one of the funniest comic strips ever. It is so weird. It is so funny. And it just a lot of life lessons in that one. I don't know if they're good life lessons, but they're life lessons. And so I just always loved that format. And I knew Instagram was like a smart place to post that kind of stuff. And I'm the kind of person where I never love putting stuff behind a paywall. Like, I love just posting my stuff, getting it out there, man. And if you want to support, please do. There's a great quote from Gerard Way, which I've kind of taken as my mantra for comics, which is comics are for everybody. And it's not something that should really be all that hidden, like especially independent comics. And a comic like this, I think, really would speak to a younger person or somebody, who remembers the mall fondly or remembers, the scene days and really being a mall rat and like going to mosh pit shows and Vans Warped Tour and stuff. And I was talking to Haley, who's in Ghostlight. She's actually in a scene with me in Ghostlight. And we were talking about her time working at Hot Topic. And I just thought, oh my God, that would make just such an incredible like short film or TV show or web series, like about people in Gothic retail. And like, maybe they're feuding with the people in Aeropostale. And, so I kind of just got thinking about, well, who are these characters that work at this mall? And I mean, I say in the introduction that I also came to the realization that Kevin Smith did that movie, and it's called Clerks, and it's called Mallrats, and they're really good. So I needed to find another way in that was more mine. And I was like, well, I have a really great relationship with my parents, especially with my mom and my dad, who are my parents. That was a weird way to say that. But anyway.
But I loved it, though. I was like, you know what? I'm with it. I dig it.
I'm so impeachment right now. I'm like, this is.
But let me tell you though, the way that you describe, yes, someone may have a similar idea, but there's nothing like your version of the idea. Is such a, it's so unique to you, because I have never thought of it like that. But it is 100% the way that I like the thinking. The worm.
The idea worm. Yeah.
The idea worm.
I don't know why, but I feel like I heard this on a podcast somewhere else. This is not my idea, but not my idea. But the thought concept is that there are no original ideas, and that ideas are living, breathing, microscopic things, metaphysical things that infect you. And they infect lots of people, but they infect you and they need you, the human being that is creative, to bring them into reality. You create them, but the idea is something that comes to you. It's like the muse idea or the muse idea. And yeah, so the idea of an idea worm is, it kind of takes the pressure off being like, oh, that's already existed. Well, it's like, well, this idea worm hit me too, so maybe I should make my own version of it, even if it already hit Kevin Smith years before. And so how I found my way into it was, I have a really good relationship with my parents. So I always, pitch them my ideas, and usually they're either like, yeah, no, that's a good one, or I don't know about that one. And I've been doing that since I was a little kid. And so when I got up with this idea for, what eventually became Vulture Culture, but right now it was just kind of like, goth people working in the mall, I was like, I really want to tie it to like a family unit, because I tend to always write about found family. which is like Ghostlight is all about found family. My other series, Dark Wings, is all about found family. This, I wanted it to be about an actual family. And so Gene is a single dad who used to tour with bands such as Egadeth and Tailfeather. And his daughter Avril is a kind of new age goth girl, former emo, who works at the town's local Hawk Topic. And the whole idea is kind of the dichotomy between an aging rocker, like an old metalhead, and kind of the younger aging metalheads who aren't quite hip anymore, but they're still goth. And it's like, nah, man, we're still cool. And people come into the store all the time and they're like, that's lame. That's poser shit. That's stupid. And she's just like, yeah, well, it's still cool. And then they call her a poser, and then she's in therapy in the next panel.
I was literally about to mention that's one of my favorite ones. And at the end, she's like, and they called me grandma.
Yeah, so I love that one.
Because I've had moments like that where, like, I mean, I'm not crying about it in therapy per se, but I'm just crying about it to a friend later on. I was legit at the mall one time, and I was talking to a friend while we were looking. I think it was probably in Hot Topic. We were looking at shirts, and I just mentioned a VHS offhand, and some kid a couple aisles down goes, "Ew, VHS, that's an antique."
I'm like, clearly you're not ready for analog horror, sir.
I'm like, oh my God. Crushed me. So when I saw that, I was dying. It was so funny. But that's peppered throughout this whole book. But I love that it is, and it's an aging Kiss fan with an aging My Chemical Romance fan. Like, and that to me it tells the whole dichotomy of what you need to know. Because I come from a very musical household. My dad wasn't sound engineer, but he was an artist, so he toured. So I know that world, and it was just so funny because I know people like Gene, and I know people like Eddie, and literally they're people that I call like uncles. Like, yeah. So it was so funny to read these characters.
You're like, oh, that's just my dad's weird Australian friend, and that's Eddie. Like,
exactly.
I was writing the Eddie chapter, and I was like, what is this guy? And it's like, he's
an enigma.
He's kind of like part of Eddie's charm is you're never going to figure it out.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's like the other characters, I was like, oh, they're this is what they believe, this is what they stand for. You know, if you wanted like a railroad kind of thing. And I got to Eddie and I was like, man, good luck. Let me know if you figure it out.
Eddie's the kind of character who, and I'm calling this because I want Vulture Culture to just blow up in the biggest way possible. Like, I want continued success of this world because I'm reading this and I'm just so enthralled by these characters that I'm just like, I want 6 seasons in a movie right now. Like, please, somebody pick this up. Even if it just cast. Who would I cast as Eddie?
No, just in general, the family. What's your fan casting? Because I have a fan casting too.
You kind of, all right. I don't want to keep talking about too much exactly what is in the book because I want people to just enjoy it. But like, you really threw me for a loop with the H. John Benjamin voice, and I was like, God damn it. So the minute, because I had a voice in my head, but then when you said that, the rest of the book, I was like, oh, yeah.
He's like, oh God, Tita.
it's Bob. It's fucking, yeah. Like, I was just hearing that voice. But who I would cast for Avril is funny because it was actually, and I'm blanking on her name, but she plays the lead in Matt Groening's new show, just Disenchantment, also plays the lead in Mitchell's versus the Machines. Mm-hmm. I'm just blanking on her name right now. I love
Disenchantment. That's a great show.
It's slept on. I love that show.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's really funny. Eric Andre as a demon, like, brilliant.
Oh my God, yeah. Which is really funny because that's actually who I was going to pick for Benny. I just thought that voice coming out of that little character just makes sense to me, especially considering that, like, most of the time you see a little character, people are like, oh, he's got to have kind of a cute up here voice. No, the funny is always the opposite. He's got to have like an Eric Andre.
I love that idea.
An Eric Andre kind of voice. But for Eddie, oddly enough, I hear Matt Berry.
Laszlo, Jackie Daytona. I just finished that show.
I hear Matt Berry, and I hear him doing it very well. I have another very niche one, but it's not necessarily. I don't even know if you'll know who this is. There's a puppet comedian that I follow, and his name is Randy Feltface. But Randy's voice is who I would also picture.
Oh, I don't know who that is. Hang on, let me just Google it real quick. Keep talking.
No, but he when I would think of the situations that Eddie would put himself into, I just hear this, like, I hear that voice. Yeah, I hear him.
That's wild.
But I really, it's so funny because, like, again, I really did latch onto the characters because of, I really was like, I know these people. Like, I know an Avril, I know a Debbie, I know a Gene, and I know an Eddie. And it was kind of freaky at first because, like, you had sent me in the mail a very lovely printing of some of the comics, which I adored. It's still on my desk today, and I loved it. But, like, fully diving into this world with the omnibus is such a treat because you paint such a wonderful world that these characters inhabit, and it really does hearken for me to my love of, like, Charlie Brown, the Peanuts, Garfield, and those characters, so much so that I loved in the middle of the book when you had a little style guide for Avril and all the other styles of characters and people that I'm assuming you'd love and appreciate. The Adams one kind of caught me off guard because I was like,
Yeah, that one was for the furries in my audience. which I found this out the other day. There are a lot of furries in my audience.
Are they really?
Great. Yeah, I do a Vulture book. Of course there are.
Holy crap! Why did I never put that together? That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I need to start, like, tabling it like furry conventions. I am not a furry, but, like, good on them. They support my work. I'm cool with it.
Dude, that's just smart business thinking. Like, that's very, very smart. Now, the mall in which inspired this idea, is it still open or is it sadly closed? So here's the scoop. It's based on my hometown mall, which is the Berkshire Mall. And those of you listening who are local to that area will absolutely be groaning right now, like, oh, of course it's that mall. That mall has always been bad. And it's been closed for a very long time, but there is still one store open, and it's Target. And Target has walled off the rest of the mall, basically. And I saw a video recently on a pretty big YouTube channel of somebody going into the mall, like breaking in and, like, filming and stuff. And I got to see the original Hot Topic that I used to shop at and, like, where it's at. And the Hot Topic in this book is based directly on that particular one. And I won't say, the brand because, or the store, even though I already did, because they, that Gothic retail store that will not be named, did not hire me after 3 applications in high school. When you say that this is semi-autobiographical, you really mean it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And now they're vultures, so you really won in the end. Yeah, but, that whole idea, I just, that whole idea of, these aging rockers, young and old, being vultures set in a dead mall. I mean, dude, it just works. Like,
very much so. Like, it's an incredible book. Like, and here's how I'll describe how much I love it. I didn't realize it was black and white until halfway through the book. Like, this world is so colorful that it put the lines in for me. Like I was like, oh, I see this world. Like I only felt that way because, as I told you, like I know some of these people, but I was so enthralled with like their attitude, their disposition towards certain situations. One of my favorites in the book is when the character who works at the record store at, I think it's Norm's.
Yeah, it's Norm.
When he's like, when the guy walks in, he's like, oh, I'm going to play some pretentious jazz for him to want to buy that record. And he's like, sir, what do you think of this music? And what do you think of it? He's like, I think you should shut it off. I was like, oh my God, I've met cats like that. It's so bad. Oh my God. It's just
my favorite Norm comic. It gets me every time. Like I've been proofreading the heck out of this thing, even while the Kickstarter is going, because I just want this to be the best thing possible. And like, I don't want anybody to get a book and then they're like, oh, that's a typo. I'm like, oh, damn it. But my favorite Norm comic that consistently makes me laugh is the one Norm's Record Corner, and it's just a 2-panel comic, and he's putting on a obscure record, and you know it's like Norm's Record Corner, like his picks for the week, and he's a dog. Norm is a dog, and he's based on my friend Jake, who's in Ghostlight. It's based on his dog, and he's putting on this record. He puts it on, and he goes, "This is a record that was recorded at a frequency only dogs can hear." And then in the second panel, another dog pokes his head in and he goes,
it sucks. I was dying. Oh my God. I love that one too. It's so good.
Because it's so true. There are even haters in the dog world.
Oh my God. But what's so great about it, it's not that he says it, it's that someone pops in from beyond the frame to go, it sucks. It's so Muppet-like.
It's not a dog we've ever seen before. It's just so.
It's not a character we ever see again. It's just, oh, maybe that'd be funny if in the future he's just the character that always pops in. Is just like, it sucks. But like all the other characters, like even in one of my favorites ones, I love when Eddie falls in love with the ostrich woman. I love that panel. I love when he like realizes like who she is, and he's like, "I love you." Just puts it all out there, man. Like Eddie's that dude. Oh man,
that's why Eddie got the voluptuous. She's actually an ostrich.
That's what is that what I not said?
Did you say ostrich? I'm sorry. We've been saying vulture so much. I'm glazing over with the bird names.
No, I totally get it. I just, oh man, like I truly, I love this book, and I'm like, you all need to make this omnibus happen, because the idea of all of it being together in would it be a hardcover omnibus or would it be a softcover?
Well, the printer I'm talking to right now, it thinks it should be a softcover, and I kind of agree, because I'm thinking about doing some gold stamping or silver stamping around like the borders and stuff, and it'll look really pretty. But I just love the idea of like a matte finish, trade paperback kind of thing. It'll be a pretty thick book. I think people will feel like they have a good product.
Because one of my favorite books that I had growing up that I only got rid of it when we moved because it had gotten affected by a flood. And it was Over the Hedge. It was their comic in a softcover omnibus. And this is something that I would akin to that, because I loved that book. And that made me, because I didn't know when the movie came out, I was like, oh, but this is based off of this. Like, this is so cool. But there's just something about that book that just kind of reignites good memories for me. And having the idea that this will then kind of be the same thing is equally cool, because one, I know you. Two, I love this world and these characters, and I will encourage anybody to go fucking follow Tiny Viking on Instagram when you drop these, because they're awesome. Like when I say I love it, like I really do love it. and I love it more than I was expecting to too. Like sometimes people send you things and you're just like, this is dope. Like it's just dope. Like no, like I will be following these until you decide to stop drawing them. So that then I will pester you to never stop drawing these characters.
Don't ever stop.
Don't ever stop, because I like.
And I think it's also worth saying again that like the only reason I'm doing a book is so people can own them, and this can really feel like a real thing, because all these comics are for free on my Instagram. Like that's why I'm doing a Kickstarter for this. That way that everybody who wants a book can have a book. And I think like the ones that I had sent you before, they're just, these little saddle stitch things, and like they're just kind of gag comic formats. They're like zines. And then, like I would be at a con and I would be, selling those 2 little volumes of it that are, they're good, they're cool, but they don't really like give you the whole thing. And I'm like, I've done this 2 years now. There's a pretty decent fan base of it on my Instagram and online. I tried Webtoons. Webtoons stinks.
I'm not a fan, man. I don't want
to say it stinks, but it's so hard to get noticed on, and I'm like, I already have my following. They're over here. Like,
you're building your Kevin Smith community on Instagram. There you go. Like you got your Clerks world, and it's working.
You heard it here first, folks. I am Kevin Smith. Hey, kid.
You gotta do the thing. Yeah.
Hey, kids. No, seriously,
hey,
though,
you gotta donate.
Kevin Smith is like one of my legitimate heroes, and getting to like hug him on stage, that was so surreal, man. Like that
doesn't he give good hugs?
Well, it's really funny because I'll send you the clip. You can throw it up in here while I talk about it. But I go to shake his hand, and he like kind of shoves my hand away and goes, "Give me a hug." It was so because I was standing right next to him. I was like, "Hey, Kev," like SpongeBob. Hi, Kevin.
Yeah, I knew you fan.
Yeah, like that was me on stage. But yeah, it was really cool. He's a lovely guy, and and I got to meet you there, and yeah, it's like when I'm out promoting, even a book like this, or a lot of people know me from my comics, and it's kind of nice to get to talk about my filmmaking too, because I don't get to do it all that much, and I probably should try to. I think it's because the comics are more immediate.
Oh yeah, it's a much more instant gratification because you draw them but also write them. So for you, it's a different process, because with film, it's expensive. It's like it's time consuming, and it takes a lot more out of us, to be quite honest. Like my next film is something I've been planning for 4 years, and I don't even know if it's going to be shot this year. It might be next year. And it's just like, Jesus, like another one.
Any details on that one?
I will, but I'm going to tell you after, because I don't want to.
I'll tell you what I'm thinking of too. And I have to tell you about a secret book I'm also working on along the side of this. You're gonna love it.
Dramatic zoom in. I'm excited. Freaking. Man, no, but people, if you can, because I get it, times is tough, but if you do, you'd be supporting an incredible artist. So please, if you can, go donate to Squawk the Vulture Culture on Kickstarter. Yeah, there you go.
There's your little graphic.
You want to email that to me too? Because I'll just put it up right here. Just
I'm going to send you so much. I'm going to send you clips from Ghostlight too that you can throw up in here.
I'm so excited because like
you're going to have an editing project when I'm done.
But that's going to be awesome, because I love when podcasts cut to that kind of stuff when they're like, "Here's what we're talking about." Click.
Well, especially with independent stuff, it's like, is anybody going to actually be able to find it? So it's like just having it there is just totally cool.
No, 110%. Now, I do have to ask this because I mean, I made a joke about it before, but like, do you think Vulture Culture is going to be something that kind of sticks strictly as a comic right now? Or do you kind of, you can't help it because we're artists, but like, do you have a bigger plan eventually? Or do you kind of like...
I did ask you who you would cast. You know?
There you go. I figured because, dude...
Who doesn't want to do a cartoon? Like,
this is the show that I would legit like watch week to week. Like, this is one of the, like, because there's shows that come out and you see one episode and you're just like, I don't know if that necessarily gels with me. But like, this is one of those things where I'm like, this could be one of those shows that really bridges the gap between a generation of people who misunderstand us and a generation of people who misunderstand the previous. This is a show that I would
generation that we misunderstand too.
Yeah. Like, no, that's what I mean. Like, like this is a show that this is a comic that I could see being turned into a show that I could sit down and watch with my mom and we would both love and adore because my mom is the aging Kiss fan and as someone who is the aging My Chemical Romance fan. So
did you see My Chem on the tour?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I did.
How was it?
2 times. Yeah, it was pretty sick, dude.
We can end it now. Right. Yeah. We're done, folks. But no, I really do like it. It flows in such a way where I was like, man, this is moving when it's not. Like I'm like, because I love to watch animatics online. I'm weird like that. I love when people do like their own animatics of certain things. One of my favorites, somebody took, we were talking about our love of musicals. Somebody took the opening song of the SpongeBob musical, but made it an animatic that looked like the show. And I was like, oh, I want this. That would be so cool.
The animated version of the musical would be awesome.
Yeah. I thought that would be sick, but I love animatics. So I'm looking at this and I'm just like, I can see the motion because that's what animatics encourage you to do. Like, this is a comic, but I would love to see this animated, dude. This would make
some a while ago. I did a screening of Ghostlight for some friends and family, and I don't know if I still have them, but I did some really crude, like, animatic versions of some of these, like, early strips. Like, I voiced Gene, I voiced Eddie. Like, it was like a straight up YouTube poop kind of cartoon. And Haley Carlick from Ghostlight voiced Avril and Debbie. It was like totally like, hey, could you just throw me some voice memos? So if I can find those, I'll send them and you can embarrass me. Like,
dude, you should do that. You should do that. Like, as like a, like you do that every quarter as like a special thing where you kind of do these adaptions of the comics where it is not necessarily fully animated because that costs some moolah, but literally like just in the form that they are in, but with some light music voiceover. I'm telling you, that alone is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I love animators and, you know, working with them. I mean, they truly, you know, the project doesn't happen unless, you know, they're good at what they do and they do their work and they care about the project. So, you know, animators are truly artists, and I can animate. I would never call myself an animator. What they do is too skilled. Yeah, no, it's a whole other ballpark. I literally, for Christmas, I just got my brother the Richard Williams animation guide because he's been learning animation, and it just the lessons in that book are so, like, it's so interesting but so foreign to me because I mean I can't really draw. I could draw a really magnificent stick figure, but that's about it. So when I was younger I could draw, but then I kind of just stopped. But I've since realized, man, I could pick up drawing again if I really put some time into it. You absolutely should. So I'm like, you know what? This year is going to be the year of me trying new things, one of which I really want to learn guitar. Always wanted to learn how to play.
and then I've always wanted to kind of be better at drawing because I think that it'll also.
YouTube is your friend.
Oh, I know. It's free lessons galore. It's gonna be great.
YouTube is your friend. Draw with Jazza taught me how to draw, and Mark Crilly too a little bit. Yep.
Wow, you're naming channels that I'm following already. That's wild.
The old Draw with Jazza is like legit. He's just like at his webcam being like, here's how you draw boobs. You know, and then you're like 8-year-old me. Interesting.
Artistic. All right. We're coming towards the end of our show. Nick, I can't thank you enough, dude. Like for one, this was overdue because me and you don't get to conversate very often. We just kind of compliment each other over Instagram every once in a blue moon. But like, truly,
you're a beautiful citizen.
No, you're more beautiful. But like, I'm excited to see where you go as a creator, man. Like, I look forward to sitting in the next theater for your next project. And I hope I'm involved in some way. I want to work with you so bad. I'll do sound for it, no problem.
Likewise. I mean, I want to put you in a movie, man. You've got great energy.
I've voice acted, I've puppeteered, but I've never tried it. Man, you know what? I would be in one of your pictures. I think that'd be dope.
We'd make you a movie star, you know.
Thank you guys again for tuning in to the latest installment of Arcade and Friends. Nick, let the people know where they can find you.
They can find me and all of my fabulous Vulture friends on Instagram at Tiny Viking Designs. And we're on Kickstarter trying to do that book.
And by the time this will be posted, because I'm going to probably post this on Wednesday, there will be how many days left in the campaign? Because I got the link literally right up in front of me. There will be
13 or 14.
15 or 14 days left, but I will also put out a slight promo. I'll cut this out, put this up on Instagram. But go donate because I need a book version of this. Please. Thank you again, buddy. I'm so excited for what the future holds for you. Thank you again for your conversation and your friendship. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching the first episode of Arcade and Friends. As always, please make sure you subscribe to Arcade Productions for updates on further episodes, further content, and further silly ridiculousness. Thank you so much. See you on the next one.